Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Lodgify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.
Welcome to Good Morning Hospitality, your one-stop shop for the latest news, noteworthy trends, and thought-provoking discussions across the industry. From hotels and short-term rentals to all things travel and hospitality, you'll find each episode equips you with the information you need to start your week. Join us on Good Morning Hospitality every Tuesday, wherever you get your podcasts. Good morning, Will.
Good morning, Leo.
Isn't this fun?
Holy crap. We're finally here. I can't believe, are you real?
I know, right?
Oh, gosh.
This is the mashup that nobody realized they needed, and now nobody can live without.
This might become the new GMH. I don't know if Michael and Brandy and Jamie and Sarah and Steve and other Sarah, shout out to all of our hosts, can handle it.
No, I think we've probably got to go 5 days a week, you and me, sailing off into the sunset. I mean, come on. We'll let the audience be the judge. They can tell us afterwards if they
Come on, you guys can't get enough of us. Come on. Just kidding.
I thought it was important to get us together, primarily because, I'm here. I'm in.
Yeah.
So
you're in Denver, Colorado.
Yeah.
So for all the listeners that don't know, I live in Denver, Colorado, and you are here for the STR Hospitality Summit, and it's in my own backyard, so we couldn't avoid seeing each other.
I mean, I came to see you, right? I've been looking for the excuse to get on a plane and see you in Denver the whole time.
It's the only reason we flew you out here.
Of course. I mean, my wife's never going to let me come on holiday with you, so I had to find a conference just to make sure I could come and spend some time with you. And we've done it, right?
We've done it.
Yeah, we did some bar stuff.
We got to watch some Denver Nuggets play.
Oh, yeah.
The playoff game. And then, of course, got to see, shout out to our friends, Jonathan Wicks at Well and Good Professional Services.
Yeah, I love it.
And also to Alex with Can Monkey. So we got to hang out with our boys last night.
It was great fun. And so here we are. We couldn't resist doing a mashup. Sarah is in Italy with her family right now. So shout out to Sarah. So it's all on me and Will this week.
Yes.
I'm here. It's timely. The news is awash. Data is coming out to say that European visitors to the US are down. 17% in March, right? And the trend is also the same going the other way.
Yeah.
So American visitors to Europe is down. 2025 versus 2024. So here we are bucking the trend. I've traveled to America to disprove the data specifically. And here we are. We're going to talk about it. We both know these markets really well. I'll say this to start. And this is where my brain's at when I read these headlines. Europe, the UK, but especially continental Europe, the summers would not be the same without our American businesses. What it does to the economy of Europe, the boost it gives, the fact that these beautiful cities remain beautiful because they are visited and there's money and the restaurants thrive. What do you think is going on right now? Is it just a little bit of panic and people are going to swing in? I mean, I know people are booking later than usual, so what's your thought?
I think it's a mix of obviously that, we don't really know what to expect. I think that a lot of, even Jamie Lane on our on the show too has talked about, right? Like there's from the Hunter Hotel Conference to the short-term rental side, everyone's just kind of in that weird, we don't know how this is going to play out. Tariffs are a real thing, obviously, and we can't avoid the word or the topic, but that's obviously real. And I'm hopeful and assuming it's all going to work out in the end. But the other thing I've been thinking about when it comes to the reverse travel flip with US to Europe or Europe to US is that I think with such a boom that we had during COVID or post-COVID 2021, 2022, leading into 2023, even through a little bit of last year, I think a lot of people are just tired, to be honest. Yes, we're a little fearful, a little hesitant. Maybe finances are in play with inflation or cost of living, and depending on the area and all the circumstances in family households or single households. But honestly, I'm on that side of, I was on the road twice or every other week last year.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm zonked. I want to spend time and money in my own city. I want to spend time and money and with my own friends and my family. And when people like you get to come into town. So it's like, I don't know, personally, I just want to enjoy my home, right? Like I always see these TikToks or these Instagram reels when I'm scrolling, and it's like, basically it's like, hey, you know, there's a person walking around their apartment or their house or whatever. And it's like, yeah, I just paid rent this month for this month. So I'm going to enjoy every single cent this weekend and not go out. It's just like, honestly, I think that's kind of the mood a lot of people are in, right? It's just like time to slow down and enjoy our own homes.
And let's take that thought a step further. So I like this culture of seeing opportunity to get away even slightly more regularly if you're not trying to budget in a long haul flight, either logistically or financially.
Yes.
This idea that you can just on a whim decide Thursday afternoon, hey, tomorrow we're going to drive up 2 hours to the mountains. We're going to rent a little cabin. We're going to rent a little, short-term rental. Insert OTA name if you want to. Try not to, ideally. And this is where we need to be as an industry, focusing on the fact that, okay, say people are traveling less internationally. Okay, great, but there's an opportunity then. But if people are not going to America as much in Europe, that means there's an opportunity to keep them at home. And it might just be an hour from the major city. Like, let's orientate our businesses in that direction, because I think that people are always going to look for a break. They're always going to want to get out of their own four walls and try a new set of four walls. Let's make sure we're getting them on that. So that was initially what I thought. And I think we'll start to get the data over the summer. I do think the other thing to consider as well is, as I touched on slightly, is the general trend we're seeing globally of booking windows shortening. People can see this as a problem if they want to, but it's an opportunity. You just got to hold your nerve when it comes to revenue management, right?
Yes. And unfortunately, I'm not as funny or as beautiful as Sarah and have data to actually share, but...
He said it, but we're all thinking it.
Yes, it's true. It's very true. Shout out to Sarah. I know you're listening. So I don't have the data to validate that, but I do agree. And even though I'm not as beautiful or as funny as Sarah, but I always think about when I was a hotel manager, or even with my previous property management company, that's the first person to drop rate in a market, whether it's like a town where I was a hotel manager in, Seaside, Oregon. The moment your competitors dropped rate to get anyone from Portland or any of the major cities to come in for like a last minute weekend getaway, etc., it destroys that local market of hotels, because then once you drop, everyone else has to drop in order to get any type of traction on the OTAs. So it basically is a race to the bottom. And so that's why I like what you say, like the booking windows are getting shorter and smaller for more, let's say, spontaneous trips, or maybe even just lack of, like, the consumer just waiting to see if the price itself will drop. Because we did that last night. We wanted to go to the Denver Nuggets game. We looked at the price. It was a little high. We were hoping it was going to drop. What did we find out later? It did drop. So it's holding that. But if you can hold it, and actually, I think this is like the conversation the industry needs to get into a little bit more, is not just holding a rate for the sake of owner returns or profitability or whatever on your business end. But I think we need to start looking at rate and the value provided within that rate itself. So yes, is the room clean? Is the bathroom clean? Is there all this stuff? Table stakes, bare minimum, should have nothing to do with basically your rate outside of occupancy, size of like how many people you can host and all that good stuff. So getting more focused on value than RevPAR and ADR. Those are good metrics. Those are great things to obviously focus. We need to know our numbers. We need to know our data, but value. And I hate that word because it's overplayed, but what are they getting from that stay? Are they getting their frequently asked questions? You can imagine, right? If you're a mother booking for 3 kids and a husband who has no idea where you're going outside of the state that you're flying into, you really got to ensure that you are catering enough value for them to be like, yeah, this makes sense. This is worth my dollar. Yeah, it may be worth the dollar to you on the price that you put for the costs you have to have in order to cover that home, but there needs to be value.
I'm going to use a different word, but the same sentiment, because I like that, but it's service. Providing a service. Now, we'll go on to talk about a great talk that Rose Tipka just did here at the STR Hospitality Summit, which has really inspired, I think, some of this conversation. But let's go back a stage. So this idea of holding your nerve, holding firm on rate. We booked very last minute for Denver. It was a steal.
Yeah.
Like I won't reveal the price of it because it would be a bit crass, I think, to reveal the price of it. But we, two of us staying in a short-term rental and in a beautiful, beautiful place, and we haven't paid much. So that's the first thing. But you're exactly right when you talk about what are we offering the consumer to show that our category has value. Like what's great about coming somewhere like this and listening to the speakers, and obviously we've like shout out to Jody for organizing it and Jenny and Julie for doing all this great stuff, is this idea. I've heard AI mentioned in passing only twice. Yeah. They're only talking about AI. Like they're not talking overly about revenue management stuff. Everyone needs the tools. Everyone needs to do that sensible stuff. But it's like, how can I go the extra mile? What are the ideas that I have? And, your Rose's talk, I'm sure will be online, or if not, we can post it in the notes. We can find a way to link out to it. But some of these ideas are great. And they are so different from what you would get in a hotel. I won't give away the secret sauce. I'll let you watch the talk. But just this idea that you can personalize the experience with your owner in so many unique ways. And you can kind of do it at scale because you can use technology to enhance that experience. But you're exactly right. That then stops someone needing to drop their price because it's the long game. Yeah. And it doesn't also have to be like kitschy novelty things. It can be really just like high-end concierge, like delivering a service. 100%. That's where we have to be as short-term rental people, right?
But there's nothing wrong with what you said about what you guys booked for here. Low price, not really much on service. You just mostly need a place to drop your stuff and sleep, right? Sure. Like, so for that experience, you don't need the crazy service of the concierge and all that. But when there is that different expectation, or when there is that mindset of your property, if you look at your listing on whatever OTA that you're on as the destination, yes, they may be looking in Colorado, but my home down the street that has a pool table, a poker room, a karaoke bar inside of the garage that we converted, plus a big old pool for the family and the kids and friends to come over, that is going to crush. Because you become the destination, and that's where the value becomes. You have amenities, you have the extra things, you have thought beyond the head in bed moment. And I think when we adopt that mentality and you become a destination creator or a moment thinker or moment maker, that's when your property and your service versus hospitality line, which is, for those who have read Unreasonable Hospitality, service is black and white, hospitality is the color. So where can you add color to that state, to that experience, to your home, to the destination that you created?
Yeah, very interesting. So we were with Atomic Stays last night, having seen one of their penthouses in the middle of Denver. That was really fun.
Beautiful property.
Yeah, really nice. And they were talking about how they cut their teeth in the Denver market and then moved out to the ski market. And the difference in service delivery, right? And it's meeting your customer where they are.
Yes.
So the extent of, if you're going to take on a $10,000 a night, what would you call it? Chalet?
Chalet, mega mansion, whatever.
You have to pick that person up. Like you have to, there has to be blacked out windows.
Private chef, wine,
skis delivered to them.
Ski in, ski out. Yeah.
And that's us all just taking the initiative, right? And saying like, why am I telling that person they should be with us and not just staying at the 5-star hotel that's also inevitably on the resort? Yeah. Well, it's the fact that you get the privacy, the anonymity, and you also get the service alongside.
Yes. Yeah. Can we pivot gears into a topic that I'm curious to hear your thoughts on?
Okay,
so this is a news show.
He's blindsiding me, by the way. I didn't know this was coming. I love this. Okay, let's do it.
Well, hey, so this is a topic you'll have plenty of knowledge and ability to talk about. Expedia, 3% layoff coming up, or just happened, depending on the time of this recording. Pretty interesting stuff. And you asked me the question of what I thought the reason why was. I'd love to know your thought.
Yeah. So,
and we'll link the article. But
yeah, so I think this follows on from what we saw in March, right? And I think that what we're seeing generally is people utilizing AI as much as they can to cut out a certain level of the work that can be automated. Yeah. Right. It's also, I guess, about what they're choosing to focus on as a business right now. And I think it's very sensible. B2B has obviously been pretty important for them.
Big cash cow for them.
And as a consequence, I guess, this also, we could talk about the rise of booking.com, that maybe is coming off the back of that. They're not competing for that consumer market in quite the same way from the Vrbo brand perspective. Yeah. But for me, it just feels like a logical, if you can replace the people with those tools, it's inevitable that it's going to happen, right? What does it mean in general? Is this a sign of the times? Do we see more of this? I don't know, because there aren't many companies in our space that have that legacy that Expedia's got.
Yeah.
So they've probably got to go through the biggest course correction, way more than Airbnb.
Yeah.
That did their layoffs, I think, before the IPO for different reasons.
Yeah.
Right?
Couple.
And Booking.com, again, it happens that they clip occasionally. I think it was quite recently. But Expedia, to me, feels like the one that is potentially a little bit archaic, a little bit oversized from an operational perspective. So clearly when they make those big changes, it feels... So I don't want us to get carried away and go, okay, AI is stealing everyone's jobs, because I don't think that's what's happening. But I think you said this earlier when we talked about it off camera, it's efficiency, right? It's an efficiency drive.
And AI is not the answer for efficiency. Efficiency is the answer to AI.
Yeah.
So that's why every company that, even companies in our space, from property management companies to brand new single family, one home host who's only on OTAs. That's such a wide, it's a wide gamut. But at the end of the day, the funny thing is like there are companies that, like, yes, AI's efficiency is true. It's like not a buzz thing. Like there's people that are doing multiple, like there's going to be solo founders with AI agents that create multi-million, if not multi-billion-dollar companies. And I think just today, during the time of this recording, Duolingo has cut like a good chunk of their staff out of the space, right? Like if any listeners that know Duolingo or Duolingo users, you'll understand, like, yeah, it's not in our space, but the CEO who did the layoffs said, it's because we're using AI and we don't need these people. The 10 people we let go, one person manages the AI and process of their jobs. Yeah. So they're saving hand over fist, and imagine what they can do with that capital, investing in hopefully more humans, more technology to do other things that evolve the product, evolve the customer experience, evolve, so on and so forth. But
I wouldn't see it as a worry. I'd say, like, if that need becomes less present, then we find different things to do to fill around it. Maybe it's more on the hospitality side of things, right? And that can only be, in the long term, a good thing. I think you're right. I was talking to one of the entrepreneurs in the room earlier, and he was telling me that, and I won't reveal name or details because it's early stages, but he put an idea that he was having into an AI chatbot system. Can't remember which. Yeah. At 7 p.m. on an evening, and by 4:30 he had 4:30 a.m. he stayed up all night coding. He had a working prototype dashboard model of what he wanted to build. Something that, like, so that curve. So again, I think that's exciting, because we can just talk about layoffs, and again, that's on a human level, like, very sad when you're in that position. Obviously, we're not sugarcoating that.
But how many times have we seen these big companies like Booking, Expedia, you name them, go through these layoffs, and then they go through big hiring sprees because they find other ways to deploy human capital. So exactly. It's unfortunate, but
it's getting creative, whatever it might be, to like come and to tell a brand story, and that's more, and that's the direction we'll go. I think. So I think clearly we never want to see layoffs in the space. I don't think it's driven much more than, I think we're in agreement on it. Yeah. Maybe that'll be proven incorrect. We'll see how the summer goes, and then I guess end of summer we'll know more around general volume. So here we are. We're getting into that time of year where stuff's starting to happen in Europe. People are starting to make their bookings. Yeah. So hot off the press, Holiday. We always talk about Holiday and how to go.
I know.
Always, don't we?
Popular. They're the stars of the GMH EU.
They really are. They really are. And so they're the big two German powerhouses competing with one another. It primarily both started as meta search businesses, both have PMSs and offshoots and OTAs and booking systems that they try and lock people into. And they're always on the acquisition spree. Here is no different. So we have Holiday have completed the acquisition of Mallorca. I've probably mispronounced it. Yeah. If Sarah was here, she'd be enjoying the mispronunciation of that. So think of Mallorca, and they're bringing in their platform. It's another one of these acquisitions we talked about before, of a legacy software OTA from the 90s that has its roots in the pre-internet day, grew into the internet, and has a really loyal group of customers that are still booking on it. Yeah. But they're not getting any younger, that customer group. They're not attracting the next generation. So obviously ready for an exit. Holiday are going to bring it in. They're going to benefit from the fact that things like instant book can happen on their system, and they can, add more, hopefully, this will be the intention, more original supply against some of their competitors in Europe. So that adds to their overall meta search OTA list. So yeah, what do you think? Interesting news, eh?
Interesting play. And as a person who has multiple categories on their P&L that are revenue drivers and revenue costs or cost drivers, it's hard managing that much, right? Like just being a property management company alone is a 24/7 business, right? So add then the tech piece, which you're on the side of. So imagine doing what you're doing on top of managing a portfolio, on top of marketing, on top of this, right? Like I can't imagine wrapping my head around it. Like this is not, I have a big brain for it to think about it, but pulling it off is a whole different story. So congratulations to them. I think it's a huge win. Just to see any type of M&A activity right now is a big win. I'm sure Simon Lehman or any of the AJL people are probably involved in that deal. So like, good work on them. But yeah, it's just a good sign. I think that's healthy. And I would love 2025 to be the year where GMH EU covers just as much, if not more, funding and acquisition stories than the flagship Monday crew.
Yeah, that's it.
Because it's been a dry year. So like compared to 2023 and 2024, I feel like Brandy, Michael, and I were just covering investment rounds and acquisitions and all that stuff every other week. And now it's been pretty different. So
it's been different. And we've seen obviously the big Casago, the Casa one that's it's caught everyone's attention. But yeah, apart from that, it's been slow. We've seen like obviously Dale, who we've gone on next week to do a special UK market review. We know they've been busy. They sort of quietly go about it in the UK, like hoovering up different businesses, and they're looking at Europe as well. So yeah, I agree. And I think that there is potentially the autumn is the time for it, depending on how the summer season goes.
For sure.
For me, a lot's riding on this summer, I think. And I guess you'd agree stateside, but in Europe,
I think everyone's feeling like, let's see how we feel in September.
Yeah. I think potentially one of the reasons for the slight lack of M&A activity could be, and I'm going to say those words again, we don't want to talk about AI the whole time, but it feels like, again, and we talk about this quite a lot, that no one really knows what AI will do to the buying behavior of not even necessarily this generation of users of the internet, but the next generation. So right now, young people are learning habits through searching for things in ways that we weren't. That's not how we were using the internet. And this idea that you would go to an aggregator, go to a meta search, go to a booking platform, use Google Maps. It's kind of all up for grabs. Right? Even just as in are you dictating? Are you talking to it? Are you looking at something that someone is wearing and buying it straight away on social media? Like that is just all up for grabs. And that's, if you look at the funding outside of our space, that's where a lot of money is going right now, is into these tools that could potentially take you from social media straight into buying journey. Or maybe your AI chatbot your AI agent is even doing that for you. And with all that up in the air, potentially we've got our bigger players, instead of looking to acquire, right now they're in the bunker trying to work out how they respond.
I don't know. I agree. 100% agree. And I think it's something we should all be thinking about, right? Like we need to be, and I hate saying this because I just turned 30, so I feel like I should still be considered a young person. I feel like I should be. I
think you can. 30, under 30, under 36.
30 and under, I think, I still count. But there's people younger than me, right? Like I look at my nieces and my nephew who are like 15, 16, 18, 20, right? Like they're growing up with this. I grew up in that weird era where it was dial up to then Wi-Fi to then, like I had a Game Boy, like one of those old ones. So you had to have like a night light on to like see at night and play versus like now kids are just immediately given an iPad. They're immediately understanding autonomous driving, Uber, all these things that our generations, our parents' generations, et cetera, have never experienced before. And right now, every company, especially like what you just mentioned with Holiday, going into investing into that next generation user, right? They're trying to get ahead of the Gen X or whatever they're called, that's, just about to graduate high school, just about to go to the real world and have their own first real life experience. And they are doing things on their own terms at their own rate and their own pace. And so every business is thinking about that. And I can't remember what brand it was. I think it was Coca-Cola, maybe Pepsi, one of those. But it was one of those companies back in the 70s, maybe 60s. I'm going to butcher the story. It's pretty much it's basically they're saying no one's really buying the product. We need to start selling to kids at school. Like we need to like sending people to cafeterias. We need to be at every like lunch and dinner and all these things, right? And basically the internal dialogue between the team was like, well, those are kids. Like their teeth are going to rot. They're not like great with upkeeping, maintenance, and all these other things, right? Like and it's not healthy. And they're like, yeah, but when they're adults and they're having their families and having kids, guess what they're going to be bringing to the camping trip, to the family vacation, to this, and what they're going to be drinking at restaurants is Coke, and what are their kids going to be doing? And it's going to be instilled in that generation. Yeah. And so, not to ramble, but I'm even thinking about that. Like, there's hotel school students right now learning a lecture, getting taught hospitality, technology, etc. I want to get in front of them. I want them consuming our content. I want them becoming a HFM voice, right? I want them to carry it, because then it just adds this whole new dynamic, and it's going to lead your company into that generation as they grow into the generation that we've become. And so it's just this cycle passing down. And I think a lot of companies, and again, coming back to the Holodo piece, not to ramble, but this is where I think that kind of impact moment happens, where it's like, if I can just get that younger person to understand this problem that we're trying to solve and come up with even probably better solutions than we did, and make the company better, right? Like they're going to have insight and experience and perspective that we don't. So long story short, I think investing in that next consumer, client, customer, etc. is such a smart move.
I think that's a fantastic point. It sparks me to think about the fact that when I was getting into short-term rentals, when you were getting into hotels, it was the dawn of the OTA, really, and this idea that you were moving on from brochures and ads in magazines and newspapers and things of that nature. So what's happened over that journey we've been on is like huge brands have emerged, one or two household brands, but also big brands like Holodo, Home to Go, people that are doing lots of interesting things in the space. Hell, all the PMSs that are keeping the show on the road for property managers. That doesn't go away, right? That evolves. Some
continues.
Some win, some lose, but that new way. And if I was a property manager right now, the thing I would be researching around AI and what to think about next, just to get my actionable insight hat on, which I like to do, is I'd be looking at like, what's the next thing in distribution? Like post OTA.
Social media.
What's the post OTA world, and how do I get into it? And what tools do I use? I wouldn't be messing around, actually. I don't think thinking too much about like operational stuff. I'd be thinking about distribution, and then always what we talk about, which is your providing your hospitality solution and being a service provider, because the human side is the bit that can't be replaced by technology. So being that like force and like presence, and being the roving hotel manager of your 50 STR places, go and visit if you can, but then at the same time looking at how potentially distribution will be flattened by this whole thing. And again, just get ahead of it, because we already know that there's tools popping up that can help you.
100%. I love it.
Bit of it. I've enjoyed the in-person.
I've enjoyed it.
We've really
this is great.
We've really dug, haven't we? We've dug deep. Okay, guys, had a great time today in Denver. So here we are. We'll call this the EU-US mashup.
EU-US.
The Transatlantic Alliance. I know, it's the special relationship.
Yes.
There you go. The special relationship lives on, despite what our politicians think. If you've enjoyed today's show, please hit like, share, subscribe, and all the usual social places. And I'll see you again on Tuesday. And this fine gentleman's going to see you on a Monday.
I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Lodgify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.